I was happy. We were moving. The new house was so big and so beautiful. My dad used to work by the city's graveyard and had just got a promotion. Something about a house neighboring the graveyard that nobody wanted. Kinda like that. My bedroom was on the second floor. The bathroom was right between mine and my parents' bedroom. The stairs led down to the kitchen and the office. I was so happy with our new house. I couldn't understand why the people that came that day had so sad expressions on their faces. But it didn't matter. I was happy until that night and the same day we moved. I woke up to go to the bathroom. When I turned the light on, I saw my reflex on the sink mirror. I was happy again. We didn't have a bathroom mirror in the other house. I used the bathroom and I was going to my bedroom almost singing when I heard my mom's voice coming from downstairs. "Honey, can you come down and help Mommy with something to eat?" I was well awake and Mom's voice was so sweet as always. I only felt kinda weird with the way she said something to eat. It was kinda out of time. Anyway, I started to do my way to the stairs, but when I was passing by my parents' bedroom, the door opened. Two hands grabbed me, my neck and my shoulders, and the door was closed as fast as it opened. I was in the dark, petrified. One hand now was covering my mouth. A tiny source of light came into view. Mom? Dad? Both my parents were awake and there, standing by me, looking at me, hugging me. My dad had an expression that I can say it was a mixture of fear and relief. When he held the candle near my mom's face, I saw that she was crying and smiling at the same time. She said, "Don't worry, honey. You are safe now. I've heard that too." I remember waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning one day to the abrupt emanation of a mechanical whirring and clinking from my closet. I considered checking out whatever it was. Just my luck, I happened to keep around an aluminum baseball bat in my room. In all truth, my room is a mess. There were books, textiles, electronics, and blankets covering the floor. It wasn't the worst that could happen. One could walk and not end up with paper engulfing their toes, but that didn't mean it was a clean floor. I kept stuffed animals, clothes, and a box of old photos and trinkets I had collected. I wrapped my fingers tightly on my bat and slowly walked towards the closet. My legs were cold, but I didn't mind. You see, I don't wear pants when I sleep, just some underwear and a t-shirt. Upon opening the closet door, a strange red light shone out, and I covered my eyes. The light hurt, as my eyes were not adjusted to much light at all this early in the morning. I blindly looked at my bed at whatever was in the closet, and hit something metallic. The metallic thing let out a fuzzy, corrupted noise. I nearly jumped upon this and fell over from the sheer terror of there. Actually, being something in my closet making those noises, I felt something cold, metallic. Things curled around my leg. I slammed the bed down again, letting out a brief shout upon the sudden gasp. I hit something. It was metallic yet again. But I wasn't certain what exactly it was, since I could open my eyes. I heard and felt the metal graspers jerk back off my ankle. Upon this, I reached onto the surface of the counter and lunged, attempting to shove my bat into whatever this metal thing was. I tore into the wall, having missed my blindness. That will cause something. Assuming I survived this, whatever this thing was, grabbed my waist with its metallic graspers. I heard a shrieking noise, not unlike the corrupted one from before, and nearly dropped my bed before I launched a bash onto the thing. It shrieked again this time, leaving my ears ringing. I could see the red light fading through my eyelids, fading as the graspers fell limp. I pushed off the thing, my skin cut and my shirt torn. I slumped out of the closet and fell like bowling balls hitting the floor. I dragged myself onto my feet. I began to limp out of my room, opening my eyes. I took my cell phone from the top of my bedside table and dialed 911.
911, what's your emergency?
Shrieked the operator on the other end. Yes, operator? There's some sort of... I turned to the closet and went to turn the light on, finding a big silver machine. Hard to describe by my current means, but it had a face and lots of gears. I went back to the phone. Machine. In my closet. It's dead. I contacted 911 after it intruded.
I see. What's your location?
The operator asked. I answered with my address and followed with, currently stand over the limp body of a metal thing.
Alright, and this thing, did it attack you directly?
She asked again. Yes, I beat it with an aluminum bat I keep in my room, I responded. I have the bat with me. I'm not in any danger anymore, at least, I think.
What's your current status?
The operator asked. Minor cuts on my waist, chest and legs, but I'm just a bit shaken up other than that, I told her.
Alright, we'll be allocating resources to your location. Please stand where you are on the line.
The operator said. I sat down on the floor and waited, wondering how longer I would have to stare at that silvery thing. My first experience with the supernatural was one of the most terrible life experiences I can remember. It happened when I was young and dumb and wanted to go out into the world to explore. While I was out of my home country of Canada, I witnessed a horror I soon hoped to forget. I had gone on a trip with some of my buddies to Montana, just below my home province of Alberta. We were originally going to stay in Yellowstone National Park, but decided to head to Glacier National Park first before camping out at Yellowstone for a few days. We finally reached Glacier Park after a 6-hour drive and had just enough time to do a little hiking before going to our hotel in the nearby town to rest and move on towards Yellowstone. We had gotten to the park around 4:30 p.m. and decided it was a great idea to hike after dark, so we hiked up the trail looking at the glorious views of rivers and waterfalls of the Avalanche Creek Trail. The light began to fade rather quickly while we were about 2/3 of the way up, and we had hiked into the trail about 10 kilometers, so it would take us about 2 hours to walk back down from that point. This is when shit goes downhill. Myself and my friends were all outdoors men and loved to go hiking and travel around the Rocky Mountains, but we were still inexperienced when it came to night hiking. Since the trail we were on wasn't as traveled at this part of the hike, the trail was hard to follow in the dark, although every now and then we would see a sign that notified us that we were going in the right direction. At some point, maybe a third of the way down the mountain, we ended up going off the trail, following a little rabbit trail thinking we were still on the correct path. We began to figure out that we were definitely not going the right way, as my friend checked his compass, showing we were heading deeper into the Rocky Mountains, miles and miles of forest. Then begins the mass panic. My friends and I immediately turned around and began walking the way we came, but the trail we were following didn't look the same as it had before, leading us to being even more lost than before. That's when we collectively noticed how quiet it had gotten. No insects, no birds, nothing. It was dead silence. I knew there was a bad sign, as I am a hunter, and when it gets quiet like this, it means that there is a large predator around, and that is hunting. We had literally become prey to some unknown beast in the woods. We all began getting a sudden spike of anxiety when I let the guys know what was up. That's when we heard a noise that brought terror, a guttural howl from up the mountain. It was then followed by many more. My heart went into my throat, and the terror I felt made me shake. Most of my friends did the same. All but the others had already dipped and had begun running in the direction opposite the house. We all followed soon after running ourselves, raged until we looked behind and saw the eye shine of something that was much larger than we had anticipated. The eyes were at least 6 feet off the ground and moving towards us fast. That's when we split up, running in random directions, hoping to lose those beasts. It was never going to happen. I could hear the breath of one of these things about 20 feet behind me and gaining. All of a sudden my friend appears from the trees to my right, and we end up running together until I cut up from him, hoping to escape. I know I left him to die that night, but it was a last-ditch effort that worked out to my advantage. I heard his screams from my left, and I ran as fast as I could away from them, with tears rolling down my face as I hear his screams for help, and him shrieking in pain. Then nothing, as if he never existed. I continue running down the mountain until I see a familiar sight ahead of me. It was one of the trail signs showing how far we were on the trail. I stopped, checked where I was, and started running again, hoping to get away from the creatures on the mountain. Another kilometer down the trail, I began hearing howls getting closer and closer by the moment, causing me to run even harder. Looking ahead, I see the sign saying parking lot, and zoom past it in my panic, looking for the keys in my pocket and scrambling towards the only vehicle still left in the parking lot, which was my car. I used my fob to unlock my car from a distance and run as hard as I can towards it, slamming into the side of my door and opening it, hopping in and starting the car. I look out of my window towards the trail entrance and see 2 pairs of eyes staring at me from just out of the range of the lampposts. They stare at me before disappearing back into the bush as I'm driving away, never looking back. I arrived at the ranger station by the park entrance and ran inside looking disheveled and terrified. I began telling the ranger at the desk what had just happened. He then looked at me with a sad face, as if he knew something like this would happen, and called up the search and rescue team to come into the morning to look for them. They were never found.